that is making things vibrate. But you could also, we've done this on a customer's car, adjust the latch, the latch point,
The striker latch.
the striker latch,
Yeah.
and you can make it so that the door snugs tighter.
Depending on what kind of car it is. What did they say? What kind of car?
What kind of car is it that you have that vibration issue? I'm gonna sit really close so we can see it. Should be vibration. Checking the weather stripping. The weather stripping could help improve the seal for sure. Those are great suggestions. It's a Peugeot 207 5 doors.
Ooh.
Nice. Are you in the States? We don't see Peugeot much here. But yeah, I would. So you got the potential striker. Oh, Italy. Awesome. Welcome. In your opinion, what is the best compact SUV? Toyota RAV4.
I like the RAV4. I'm gonna go with the RAV4, the CRV, and we
Honda
know a
CRV?
few CRVs with over 400,000.
I have. Someone wrote the RX 350. Fantastic SUV. That's an awesome SUV. We have a fleet customer who has a CRV with over 400,000 miles. He's almost up to 500,000 miles to 2011, and he just drives the thing like crazy. But the thing runs and drives perfect. So you can't go wrong with a Honda CRV. Mine has 350,000 miles. Awesome, or kilometers maybe, depending on where you are writing in from. But yeah, so back to the window vibration. The weather stripping could have an effect. The door striker could be slightly adjusted to make the door seal tighter, and those couple things could help reduce your vibration. But you want to get to the root of the reason it's vibrating, which could be just simply your motor mounts. They could just be worn out and just rattling the car like crazy when it doesn't need to be, when it shouldn't be. So, to solve problem, you need to ask question: when, where, and how. Okay, very good.
And I wanted to add in that I rebuilt my door last year.
You rebuilt your door.
Yeah.
What do you mean
Just
by rebuilt your door?
And the little plastic clips, everything's put together with plastic these days.
Yeah.
So the little plastic clips,
Why don't
they
you join us?
have been sagging a little. Well, I was trying to get that thing set up.
Nah,
No. Okay.
we don't have time. What do you think of Jeep Compass? Oh,
I
It's-
really,
it's a great looking car.
yeah.
That's my opinion. It looks awesome.
We do actually have a customer with a Compass as well. And, I just, I'm a little, and we have a mechanic that thinks that the world of Chryslers, so I just, in my opinion, I'm not that big a fan of Chryslers. We've seen some problems, but not the most worst, or terrible problems either. So, I give it a kind of the middle of the road, normal kind of operation. What I really don't appreciate is that, a lot of these newer Jeeps are two-wheel drive. I don't appreciate that, Chrysler. That's just, why would you buy a Jeep if it was two-wheel drive?
Yeah, it's not a Jeep.
What is it then?
Yeah.
It's a big gas guzzler.
I mean, I'll try to censor my thoughts a little bit on the Jeep topic. What do you think about small ECU mods on car? I'll have to get back to that one. But the Jeep, I'm just not a huge fan of their reliability long term. For me, reliability is just a huge issue with me. And I think they're awesome cars off the line. They look great. They actually drive pretty nice.
Yeah.
But
I have a Jeep.
Yeah. But I'm just not a fan of their life span, I guess is the best way. When you get up in the higher mileage, you just deal with more issues than you might with a
We were
different
talking
car.
about car values yesterday, and
Yeah.
I do like their depreciation.
Well, let's be specific. The Jeep Wrangler.
Yeah, just
The CJ models. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
But on their other line, they depreciate like crazy.
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
their
that's
Cherokees
crazy.
and everything else,
That is
Liberty, I
crazy.
mean, they just go
Yeah.
boop, right down the toilet in value. But
Mhm.
yeah, the Wrangler, I mean, that's a classic, awesome truck that
Mhm.
holds its value.
Yeah.
For sure. There's no argument there. Let me straighten this thing out. This is just a little bit wobbly. And it drives me
So
crazy.
we had a couple questions there.
Yeah, so shaky steering wheel at 70 miles per hour. That's an awesome question.
Shaky steering wheel at 75 miles an hour. I would definitely, first place I would check would be your steering and suspension. Then I would go to your actual wheel balance, because that's not really something you can see. You know, you got to put it on a balancer to know. But I've had a lot of issues with that. Then if you get into an issue where you can't find anything, which a lot of people get to that point where they can't find anything and they still have a shake, check the tires themselves.
Tire pressure.
Tire pressure, yeah. Here you go. If it's shaking or wobbling or going to one side, okay, swap the wheels. See if it goes to the other side. See if it follows the tire around maybe.
So when you're talking about check the steering and suspension, I think you specifically mean the tie rod ends.
I mean the tie rod ends and
ball
the ball
joints.
joints.
Okay.
Yeah. Ball joints can be hard on some models of cars. You may have to take it in somewhere at that point. But you know, if you lift the wheel up and if it's really bad, you'll see it. Just take the top and the bottom of the wheel and
There you go.
take it like this and just go in and out with it like that. And if you have any movement, that's it, you know, or it's contributing to it.
Mm-hmm.
Check both front wheels, and then you take the tire this way and try to turn it like that. Now you can turn the actual steering wheel up there like that, but if you take it and you just kind of like move it just a little, you'll feel that clicking of the bad tie rod, inner and outer. So make sure you check all those as well.
Yep. All right. Hopefully that was helpful with your wheel shake. Now, someone asked multiple times, when the Jeep Compass, when the fuel light comes on, how many miles do you have left?
Don't let your fuel light come on. That is one of the worst ideas, and it turns into a lot of money later. That fuel in the bottom of the tank there, it's actually what cools the fuel pump as well. You know, your pump is very efficient and is very fast and pumps a lot of fuel, and so it needs to be cooled down. And the way that design does that is that it's immersed in gasoline all the time, which is a liquid, of course, and cools it down and dissipates that heat. The more you let your fuel tank run dry, the more you're going to be replacing fuel pumps in your cars.
Good answer. Engine cranks, but don't start.
But doesn't start.
The best thing to do, I just go back to the basics.
Yeah.
So obviously it could be a million reasons, like someone
Mm-hmm.
posted on here, it could be a million reasons, but you want to start with the basics. So you want to look at fuel,
Yeah.
spark,
Is there gas
and
in
air.
it? Is
Yeah.
there gas?
Is there fuel in the tank?
And believe me, that'll bite you. Even as an experienced mechanic, is there gas in it? Should be the first question, but not always is the first question you ask yourself.
Yeah. They appreciated your note about the fuel.
Oh, nice.
Fuel cooling
Okay.
off the. So someone asked about the Odyssey, Honda Odyssey. Can you any way to program the running lights to stay off? No,
No.
I don't think Honda wants you to turn those off. They're a safety.
Yeah.
They're a safety issue. I mean, I don't know if you've ever driven down like in the States. I don't know where you're watching from, but a lot of streets and highways require that you have your headlights on at all times during the day, and if you don't, you'll get a ticket. And the reason that they even do that is simply for safety. It just statistically dramatically decreases the risk of accident.
They noticed, you know, that people that kept their lights on all the time as they drove got in way less accidents, and way less fatal accidents was the key to that. So I don't know. I keep my lights on all the time.
So the running lights, and I'm not sure, maybe you have a valid reason why you need to keep your running lights off. I don't know what that is, but in terms of the computer allowing you to program them off, I know of no way to do that, and I don't think it'd be worth it. If you really insist on turning them off for some valid reason, you probably just need to take the bulbs out. So hopefully that answers your question.
We had, that person wrote back, I guess, with the car that wouldn't start.
Yeah. Okay.
So they said the fuel is present.
Okay.
So next, if there's fuel present, then next
Spark.
down the line is the spark. So you got to make sure there's spark. And it goes back to the lawnmower engine. You just imagine the lawnmower engine. It's the same thing, even though these things are very complicated these days. You need the fuel, you need the spark, and you need the air. And then you need it to be in time.
Yeah.
That's another big one with these engines that a lot of people don't take it to that level.
It's usually not as common, but it's a possibility.
Yeah, that is.
If you have a timing belt, high mileage, and the timing belt has slipped a tooth, it's absolutely possible it's out of time.
Yeah.
It's maybe not the first thing you look at, or maybe it is. If you can see the time belt, why not?
Yeah.
Check it out. But more commonly it would be a spark or a fuel issue. Yeah.
So we've had a couple cars recently that's reminded me of the, of this, that it's just sitting there spinning on the timing belt. Like when they went to start the car, the starter had enough torque, and maybe there was a failure in a pulley or something that made a little more friction, in that pulley or in that belt assembly, and something caused it to the starter just kind of rips the timing belt teeth right off, and then that crank just sits there and spins the whole time, and it'll never start then. Never.
That's right. It will never start. So the person with the Odyssey wrote in there that there is a module under the dash for the daytime running lights. Okay. So that's your own risk to see what happens if you unplug that. But of course, we don't recommend it. But I guess that's a possibility.
Everything's controlled by a module these days. In the newer cars. Now, if you can reprogram that module, I wouldn't even know where to start with that.
Yep. Good questions, though. Very good questions. Well, it looks like we've had a little bit lull in the questions, so I want to tackle.
We did get some questions we didn't get to.
If you're still in the room and you have those questions, just text them again because we missed them. With Periscope, unfortunately, you can't scroll back and see the text messages, which I would think in the future they'll make that capable. ECU tunes, okay. That was a good question they had before. You know a little bit. You're the ECU tune expert.
Yeah, on my car. There's such a wide variety of tunes and programs and base maps and all this kind of stuff. It's very hard. Is that a safe mod? I'm sorry, I missed the last one. Is it a safe mod for what? Oh, is the ECU tune in general a safe mod?
Yeah.
Depends on the tuner completely. You can have a tuner just blow up your car in 1 second.
When you say tuner, you're talking about someone you hired to
They're going to take that base map and they're going to modify the base map. Usually it's for more turbocharged cars. Because of course I can increase my boost pressure with a tune. I can increase, the fuel rate that's being put into the engine and win.
Yeah.
So by tuning specifically the timing, we're getting into that timing again. The timing of the introduction of the fuel or the spark, in combination with more boost pressure and so forth, you can make your car way faster than it is now. So it all depends on the tuner. I would go read a million reviews on whoever's tuning your car. I would, because, you know, I've seen it firsthand. You know, people plug in that new tune that they just got, and bam, that's it. That's the car.
Yeah.
Right there. And we had that a little while ago, and you know, it took a long time to rebuild that entire engine.
Yeah, that's.
What is the life expectancy on Ford Escape 2004?
In terms of mileage.
In terms of mileage.
That is such an arbitrary question.
Yeah, and there's so many. There's like the Escape Hybrid.
Yeah.
And there's the regular Escape, and it really.
But
really,
and that's for every vehicle. It depends on how well you maintain it, but it also depends on your stroke of luck. I had a good friend.
Mm-hmm.
This is when I was young. He worked at Toyota.
Yeah.
On the manufacturing line.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, he worked at Nissan, and he said you could always tell a Monday car and a Friday car. I don't know how much truth there was in that, but it makes. But
well, now they're made by robots,
yeah.
so you don't have Mondays and Fridays.
But I guess the point is that there could be manufacturing imperfections, and not every single car necessarily is going to roll out exactly perfect.
That's true.
So I guess my point is that one, but two, you know, I personally, Ford versus another make, maybe is not going to last as well long term, but you can still make that car last.
Yeah.
You can make it last 300,000 miles.
And I do want to say, it's all up to you. It is entirely up to you. This is your mechanic's dirty little secret, is if you do the maintenance on your car and you get the things repaired on time when they should be repaired, they just keep going.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
And they will. You know, we were talking about cars today with 400, 500, 600,000 miles on them.
Yeah.
They go that long.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, if you're still in here, the person with the 96 Vet, you go ahead and ask your question. I know you said you had a question. In the meantime, someone says, what temp should fluids be? Chrysler 300 always...
Which fluids?
Yeah.
Like the...
you got coolant, you got transmission fluid, you've got engine oil, you got brake fluid. So all those
I don't know
fluids.
the 300C, like the trans oil.
Transmission oil temperature. That is a great question. And
So under the coolant temperature at all times.
Probably.
It should never be hotter than
I would guess, but I don't feel like,
no,
I'm an expert.
It should never be hotter than the coolant temperature.
Okay, so it's typically 180 to 190 degrees.
Yeah,
Fahrenheit.
and it it varies too.
Yeah.
But you just want it to be right like this, man. You know, if you're like performing any kind of thing like that, it tells you they are usually around 200 to 215. That's correct. Yeah. So like. You want it to be under your coolant temperature. That's
well, that'd be slightly higher than the coolant temperature, though. Typically, usually the thermostat opens at 180, 195. So you're saying it's close to the coolant temperature.
When the thermostat opens, is not
coolant temperature.
The coolant temperature.
Typically.
Yeah. Yeah. It's being cooled by the radiator.
Yeah.
Okay. And so forth, and I've
always
true. Yeah.
So if you think about the transmission fluid going through the radiator, it's going to be typically the same temperature as what the fluid is.
Yeah.
The coolant temperature.
And I've always heard you just want it to be like right under there.
Yeah.
Like never higher than. It'll a lot of times be lower.
Yeah.
You know, you stop at a light, man. It sneaks down.
Yeah.
You know, you're just kind of putting down the road. It sneaks down. All right,
after 5 minutes, the hood is burning.
The hood? Well,
the hood is burning. Well, I don't know if it's the same person who asked about the transmission temperature, but if it's so hot that it's burning, that's not usually the transmission. I mean, that's engine heat.
Yeah.
Typically, it's the same person. So I wouldn't look at the transmission as your issue for having an extremely hot hood. I mean, that's most likely exhaust heat. Yeah. I mean, the exhaust coming out, it could be 500 degrees. And so maybe there's a shield that sometimes goes over the manifold that's missing in your vehicle, or your car.
That's a good thought.
Yeah.
That is a good thought.
Yeah.
And you know, some manufacturers, we were talking about this the other day, some manufacturers have had the problems with cars being designed where the catalytic converter passes by the transmission too close, and so it actually heats it up above the operating temperature of the transmission and makes the transmission
it's like that really weird situation where we had that Subaru that would creak only when it was hot.
Yeah.
And it just so happens that the exhaust pipe went right next to the control arm bushing. And we just theorized that when it got hot, it affected that bushing and caused it to creak only when hot.
Yeah.
So yeah, the heat from that exhaust can really affect other components, like you said. But yeah, that's most likely why it's getting hot in the hood is from the exhaust. Either there's a shield missing, or there's perhaps an exhaust leak, or it's burning too hot for some reason.
Yeah, I
could be out of time.
I cannot think of a reason your transmission would be getting that hot unless you were drag racing.